the first 2 days I did that, I had a nightmare. And that nightmare was strange. I had sausages chasing me, running after me. No, I'm being honest right now. I woke up sweating.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh at the traumatic experience. Sorry, please go on.
I woke up sweating.
Yeah.
But sausages were running after me, because I'd done 2 days of this, and it was like my brain was already wired with sausages. It was like I was doing something wrong to those sausages, but I was just doing my job. Newcomers, real stories, no filter.
And zero survival guides. We're figuring it out as we go.
I remain my humble self, TundeTASH.
And I go by the name FemiShine, your favorite biker boy in the 6.
And this is
Now that we're here. Now let's get into it.
Hi
Hi guys, I go by the name FemiShine, and welcome to the first episode of Now That We're Here. It literally means now that we're here,
Yep.
Our experiences living in Canada, the old 9 yards, the awkward experiences, hard work, hustle, and undiluted conversations between myself and TundeTASH. I'll let TundeTASH introduce himself. Drum rolls for Tunde.
Thank you, Femi. It's really good to be here. I know we're going to be sharing a lot of life experiences. It's going to be undiluted conversations.
That's right.
Right. A lot of people have said it. Tunde, we don't know. We've all seen this professional side of you. We want to hear other side. We want to see another side. Exactly. The fun side, especially. Right. So, and that's why we're here. So now we're here, and we're going to deep dive into experiences living abroad, the diaspora experience, right? Something different for sure, right? So yeah.
Sounds great. Let's take a step back and share with our viewers online what spurred that using the common term Japa movement to Nigeria. When was that light bulb moment when you felt like it's time to leave?
Unlike for many people, for a lot of people, it was like seeking economic opportunity or whatever that term is, right? Yeah. For me, it was a traumatic experience that sort of kicked that, it's time to leave the country, right? And I know a lot of people do go through traumatic experiences, and that's not an excuse to leave your country, but an opportunity came right after that, right? And what happened was I was robbed, at gunpoint. I was robbed, Maryland, Lagos. Right. I was in front of my girlfriend's house, now my wife. Shout out to Timmy.
As a producer extraordinaire. Let's give her a shout out. All right.
Yeah.
Go on.
So we're right in front of our house. Maryland was sometimes around, I would say maybe 7:30, 8 p.m. And we're just gisting, right? I was right by the car. And this guy parked just right in front of us, and he stepped out of the car and he said, "Hey, I'm actually looking for a number, so of this street." Yeah. Exactly. And, me being a nice guy, I walked towards him, and we're like, sort of looking around.
Right.
And the next thing, by the time I looked at him, he brought out a gun, right? And he pointed it right at me and said, "Where's the key to this car?" And, I saw a gun. I wasn't expecting that. So I brought it out, gave it to him, and he ordered us to go into the car. So 2 other guys came out from the car. So it was myself, Temilola, he himself, and 2 other guys. So they put us in the middle, and they covered our head with maybe pillowcases or whatever that was. And then they drove, right? So we drove around, and they kept asking us questions. Who owns the car? Does it have security? Things like that. So that experience, and they actually dropped us off safely. So nothing happened, but they took that car away. And the guy told us before he dropped the car, he took my phone, he took our stuff, money, everything. And he said, go get the car the next day at Anthony Bridge.
Right. That's what, yeah.
Naive me, I went there the next day.
Oh, you expect honest thief?
I was looking for the car. I was like, the guy said they were going to drop me here.
Yeah.
Bruh, the car was gone. Right. So it was that experience for me was very traumatizing, given that it wasn't my car. It was a family friend's car. And that also, caused a lot of issues within the family. And further to that, I had tracked my iPhone, right?
Oh, they took the iPhone.
They took my iPhone. Phone, yeah. I had find my iPhone. And by the time I tracked the car, I was able to find exactly where that phone was, because I think they switched it on.
Okay.
Right. So I took the map. I went to SARS. We all know SARS, right? I went to SARS, and on getting to SARS, I gave them this story, printed the map. I showed them everything. I was like, okay, no problem. We're going to investigate, right? So, going back and forth with them. Eventually, we paid 200,000 naira. They said they were going to, use that as whatever field.
You were paying the police for their own services.
We did at that point, saying that they were going to use that to, get those guys, right? But unfortunately, nothing happened. Myself and my cousin went further. I went to where that map showed me the phone was.
What were your intentions?
Well, I wasn't going there to do some Rambo
Right,
stuff and all
okay,
that, but
okay.
I just wanted to see, to see if I could identify anybody there. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? We actually saw him, but probably didn't recognize me. I saw him and I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Tall guy, slammed hair. He was with his guys and all that. And we just walked past. And I went back to SARS again. I told them I saw this guy there. They said leave the investigation to us. Don't do anything. Right. So that experience alone, my productivity at work,
You dipped.
it dipped. If I was at the bus stop, if anybody walked up to me to I was
anxious and all of that.
exactly, I
Yeah.
would panic, right? Because that experience alone had already messed up a lot for me, and it was the opportunity that came right after that experience.
right.
So my mother-in-law had said, hey, I have a friend who talks to people about studying abroad. Do you just want to maybe talk to him and see maybe you want to do something, right? Because she could see that time that I was far from being myself, right? And I think it wasn't just about the experience that I got robbed at the gunpoint. It was the circumstances surrounding it. It's not my car, right? It's a
Right,
family friend's
right,
car,
right.
just so much. I wasn't earning enough to go
To
buy a new
go
car.
buy a new car,
you
right,
understand?
right.
Yeah, so yeah, but that was what left me.
So that was a defining moment.
That was a defining moment.
I'm trying
yeah.
to imagine what will have been going through your head when you had that mask on that they used to cover your face. That's sounded like a CIA type abduction. It's something you see in the movie,
Bro.
and I can imagine the residue from that.
I
over time.
I really don't pray for anybody to experience it because at that time, a lot goes on through your mind.
And it could have gone wrong.
It could have gone wrong. Is this the
the
day?
end.
Is this the
Yeah.
end? Is this when it happens? Like, what did I do to deserve this? Do I know these people before? Right? Like all those, just goes through your mind. But I pray nobody actually experience that, right? But anyway, so now to you, what was the defining moment for you?
I think it was.
What made you say, "Hey, Ninja, I'm leaving this
It's
place"?
something that's always been, in my backlog for a long time that I was going to leave. I think the first attempt was when I was in, I think, 100 level. I
Okay.
tried Sweden.
Sweden?
I just had this feeling that I needed to leave.
Sweden.
Okay. Long story. So the way I grew up, my background, I lost my dad very early.
Oh,
I
sorry
was
about that,
9.
man.
He was murdered.
Oh my God.
He is one of those patriotic Nigerians. Like he studied in UK and Germany to be a civil engineer. Was
wow.
well set up, and then he said, let me come back to Nigeria and
wow.
do something. And started a construction company and all of that. And one day, leaving work, he was robbed and then shot. So that was a decline in the family, situation. That's very typical with Nigerians, right?
Yeah,
so that experience kind of was like in the back of my mind that if I get the opportunity, I won't do what my dad did. I won't come back. I will leave, not come back, right? So right from my 100 level days, I tried Sweden. I think the value prop for me then was Scandinavian countries education. I think it was free.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me get the hell out of here. So then in 200 level, I tried Germany.
Okay.
Right. I was denied. An interesting story as well because I thought I was going to get that.
Did you try anywhere
visa.
in 300 level?
Oh yeah, I tried. So then a friend of mine actually left. He came to Canada and then he called me, said, "Femi, leave Nigeria. Nigeria has nothing for you." And that kind of tied back to I said like it's always something I've always wanted to do. I had when I was planning to have children, I have no plans to have children in Nigeria to go through the circumstances that I went through. Like I need to give them a step ahead in life. So that was it for me. And then during NYSC, that defining moment of what will you do next? And then I sat in the bunk bed like, what am I going to do now? Do I stay back and start hustling for typical bank jobs and all of that, or go into IT, or take this opportunity and leave? And then I spoke to my friend that was here already. He sent me to an agent, and all of the whole 9 yards of that, trying to apply. And then long story short, I got my visa. Weird circumstances. I literally had to go to the embassy to get the visa because the agent that I used, I paid in US dollars, by the way.
Wow.
It's interesting. I paid in raw US dollars and didn't submit my my tuition fee receipt that I had paid.
Okay.
Right. So the process. You do your medicals.
Yeah.
And then you wait. You're supposed to wait for a month or two.
Exactly.
Before your visa comes out.
Yeah.
Bruh, my visa did not come out. It's a week to class resumption.
Oh, that's late.
So that's Friday. The Friday will be like the cutoff for you to actually resume on Monday.
Okay.
Bruh,
And you were still in Lagos?
I was praying. I was still in Lagos. I was praying and fasting. I stopped drinking.
Oh, wow.
I stopped all my shenanigans. I used to go to the Redeem camp.
Wow.
to pray and bro, I can pray. I can lead prayer
We all
sessions.
can pray. I used to go to Prayer City.
There you go.
I used to go to Prayer City, and
Yeah.
we had, I think it was first Saturday of every month. We
Yeah,
had,
yeah.
I've forgotten the name of the program, but we will go there first.
Power
Saturday.
must change
Power
hands.
must change
Yeah,
hands.
you see,
Bro!
for you to know that I'm actually well versed.
Like, we will go to Power Must Change Hands. I don't miss that stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
as
We'll
at
pray
that
for the
time,
visa.
I was praying, like, this visa has to be
Yeah, it has
approved,
to come out,
right?
yeah.
Aside from all the requirements and all that have been met, we also needed to meet the faith aspect of it.
There you go.
understand?
There you go. So
You said something the other time, and I just want to probe. You said for your dad, and again, sorry about that. You said he went back to Nigeria.
Yes.
Right. And you
Yeah.
said you don't want to do that. So my question to you now is: are you still feeling that way? Do you still feel at a point you will go back? Maybe not as early as he might have done back then.
I think right now I can only speak for the present. And what I see in the future, unless the security challenges are resolved, I
Okay.
don't want to put myself in a position where my what's it called now, chances of being killed is increased significantly.
But there are
Right.
people living in Nigeria though.
Yeah, there are people living in Nigeria, but they've not experienced what I've experienced. The comfort, the less, I'm less anxious. I know as long as I do the right things, move in the right way, I'm not going to expose myself to things
Yeah.
that can take my life.
Yeah.
Like I tie back into one particular story. I think it happened 2 years ago. A lady left church and she was driving and she was stopped by the police and they just shot her for no reason. Now imagine going home with my kids, my wife in the car, and then I start seeing the police and looking at all I've been through. Dealing with Nigerian police.
Yeah.
I'll be my anxiety will be off the roof. So I'm like, no. So for now, I'm trying to build a solid base where my generation can be comfortable.
Okay.
If I can bring them home to visit, that's fine. But
I hear you.
I am not a social experiment for Nigeria.
I hear you.
For now.
I hear you.
For now.
I hear you.
You
I
get
hear
me?
you.
So
our visa got approved.
yes.
I know, the whole family got happy, like celebrations here and
that's
there,
right.
like, you're leaving the country to go study abroad. I remember very well the day I picked up my visa. There was just this overwhelming effect on me when I picked up that document because unlike now where you could submit applications online,
That's right.
back then it
Paper.
wasn't so common. It was paper
just
application,
paper
right?
applications, yeah.
And I remember it was when I got that envelope at the VFS office. It was that day I knew the visa was approved.
That's right.
Right. And when I opened and I saw congratulations and all that, I held that envelope and I walked from that VFS. I walked farther beyond where I was supposed to take a bus.
Right.
I was trying to take it in. Right.
Yeah.
And post that, now we found ourselves in Canada. So
Well, it's been an interesting journey. I think we've been here approximately close to a decade,
Yeah,
or
over a
if
decade.
not more.
Yeah.
And I would say it's been a beautiful experience because if you look at the challenges, it's something that helps build who you are now, and then bringing the tenacity from back home. As Nigerians, we are very hardworking people, and we will take opportunities as they present themselves. I would say it's been a beautiful experience. A couple of setbacks. But it's life, we get what you get. But the cultural shock was interesting. For me though, because I've been to a couple of countries prior. I went to South Africa, so I wasn't necessarily hit by that.
We went to Accra.
It counts.
Does that count?
It counts.
Okay.
It counts. Accra counts. Because
count?
we have our Ghanaian brothers here, so it counts.
Okay.
Accra is abroad as well.
Okay.
So I've been to South Africa and Dubai prior to coming to Canada. So not necessarily that shock.
Okay.
But actually being in a sane society where everything works the way it should be, that blew me away. And then trying to see, how do I now adjust coming from where I'm coming from and be able to, adapt into the new system. It was rough. The education part.
Yeah.
You and I know we studied in Nigeria. Crude, raw, open your brain and stuff it inside. And then I came here to just practical learning. I went to, one of the colleges here that's very big on creativity, and I was exposed to computers. I was exposed to lecturers that had this opened up policy. You can reach out.
Yeah.
I'm literally calling my lecturer by name. I mean, you and I, you get it. And I would just go there to discuss different topics. I had access to computers like MacBooks, and I realized that even though the education back home is not the best. It builds me for
Yeah,
that
builds
to
you,
be able to
yeah.
excel here.
Exactly.
And great experience with that part. But I'll toss it back to you. What college? What college again?
Conestoga College. Shout out Conestoga College. It's
Shout
not
out
what it used to
Centennial.
be now, but for me, I think one thing I didn't know before I came here, or one thing I thought I knew, was how cold it was. I thought the cold was just, because we will hear, oh, it's a cold country, but we actually didn't know. I didn't know how much cold it was,
yeah.
right? And I used to tell people, but people just sort of make fun of it, like, don't buy your winter jacket from Yaba, right? Like
Well, big shout out to Yaba. Don't know disrespect to Yaba, but Yaba,
definitely. But like, wait till you get here to buy proper winter jacket.
warm
Because I
enough.
remember, and just because of my own experience, I bought this jacket, and I came to what's it called, Pearson. Immediately I came out, I went back in. Yeah, I went back in. I was like, yo, this won't do anything. But it was particularly the cold, right? It was really a culture shock for me. The snow, the winter.
Absolutely.
Again, Accra doesn't have that. So that's the only
Shout
place
out to
that
Accra. They can compare against.
But coming here, definitely, I think it was the cold. And there was a couple of other culture shock, right? Transportation, right?
That's right.
I'm coming from Lagos, where a bus, the conductor will actually stop. He will tell the driver, stop, drone wale, things like that.
Right.
And the buses were flowing like all the time. But here, you have to track the bus by the app or by, whatever website that is. And they come every 30 minutes during the week, depending on the city, right? And 1 hour when it's weekend, right? So all that, I had to adjust to all that. Then the food as well, right? Not so spicy food, or like back on where, you want
And then
a lot
you
of
crave
spice.
Nigerian food,
You crave Nigerian food, right? The first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're already wanting your own kind of food, right? And then something I also noticed when I got to school was we couldn't whisper. In Nigeria, you could like be talking with your lecturer, and the person beside you probably wouldn't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But here you are trying to tell somebody like, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm late. And then the person will just say, yes, so what are you like, you understand? Like, the conversation has to be quite loud. Like, the other person has to hear what you're saying. So there was a lot of culture shock like that I sort of experienced. And then finding a job in Canada as a new person.
Lord have mercy on that one. Lord have mercy on
I
that one.
came with my shoulders high thinking, yo, human resources professional, what are you talking about?
Yo,
if
yo,
I
boy,
come
you
here,
ball
like,
here.
like, do you
You
understand?
ball
Like,
here.
like, I'm coming here, I'm
rude
getting the
awakening,
job.
yeah.
That awakening, it hit me, and it hit me hard, and I remember very well the first agency I'd gone to, took my resume, dressed professional. I was like, I'm coming here as an international student, and I know I can work so hours. So, I need you to help me get something very prim and proper. Bro, I woke up in the factory the next day, packing sausages and stuff. So those were like the things that I didn't anticipate, but when I came here, I started to experience those things. But as humans, we have to adjust.
100%.
And that's how, one had to start to find a way to fit in, adjust and gradually fit in.
I agree. Mine was pretty interesting. Now that you mentioned the factory part, I was running out of money, I think a year in, because I didn't work, right? So I was paying rent from, changing naira to dollar, paying rent, still sending money home.
Oh no.
And trying to live within my own means and all of that. So when I was running out of money, I'm like, I need to get a job fast, right? Like you said as well, I had these high promises that I'll get a blue collar job, something decent. Bro, rude awakening. I reached out to the agencies as well, and they just said, the only thing we can get you is a job in a car factory, right? Go and get your steel toe boots. Right now, my left toe is kind of like, wrecked, because I had to wear steel toe boots and then go into a factory where they were molding car axles.
Okay.
I was underneath the car, so it was going through. I think it's a melting machine, and then it molds it into specific shapes, and then it rolls out of the conveyor. So the conveyor doesn't stop. You know what your conveyor is? It just keeps rolling, and then you have to like lift the axles out. It's very hot, and put it in the cage, and you have to do that for. We have 4 hours, then a 30 minutes break.
Wow!
So you're standing
for
and you're
4 hours,
you're lifting and dropping,
and your back then too.
I used to take 6 Tylenols in a day.
My goodness.
I'll take 2 Tylenols to start the shift. 2 Tylenols at
when
break.
At break. Oh my goodness.
Because I'm in pain, right? I'm already in pain. And, out of that 30 minutes break, to walk to where the microwave is, it's about 6 minutes walk.
Ooh.
And then to actually microwave the food, there's a long queue of everybody trying to use the same microwave. So now I'm running out of time.
Oh.
And then I microwave my food, not
maybe
as hot as
3
would
minutes
like.
or 4 minutes or 2
Bro,
minutes.
I used to have cold food because I need food to go do the other part of the
definitely.
shift. And then I'll go back in, do it for the next 4 hours in the winter, leave around. And I have a friend of mine was working there as well. We went to the same unit together. We came approximately the same time. He will meet me at the entrance where I'm leaving work. He's coming to log in.
And you're leaving.
I can't even greet him. We just
Like,
it's
sign,
your turn.
Go hustle.
Go hustle. Right, and then I'll get home. On the way home, I'll take 2 Tylenol because I'm in pain, and then I'll sleep from that 7 a.m. Sleep to like 5. Do it again. Right, because I was living in a very small cubicle. I think I saw a picture you posted online. The small cubicle. Mine was even smaller than that. You can touch the wall.
Are you serious?
Like if you stretch your hands, you can touch the wall. So I had a small bed and then my PlayStation and my TV. I left that job. I got a job in collections where you call people who owe money. I'm trying to recover debts from Canadians, and that was an interesting one because then I got exposed to people's financial situations, in the country. Because, sometimes we just call people, we had a script.
Okay.
I just call people like, hi, John, how you doing? And they would say, hey, is it John? Hey, John, how you doing? You having a good day? That's great. Cool. How's the weather? And all of that. Just to warm them up. And then I'll chime in, hi, John, I'm calling in regarding to your $1,500 that you haven't paid on your phone bill. And then be like, who the hell are you? The F are you? Get off my phone. I'm not John.
Whoa.
John is not here. Well, literally, we just confirmed that you're John. And then they're like, go back to your country, go back to your fucking country. And then I'm like, hey, John, you shouldn't be speaking that way. For someone who owes a lot of money, you need to, simmer down a little bit and let's discuss
bring
this.
him back to reality.
You shouldn't be this aggressive. You literally have to pay this because we were given, freedom to try and recoup the debt so we can, play into it. And then you realize that people actually go beyond their means. Like you go get a car, you can't pay for it, or your phone bills, you get an internet connection, you don't cancel your subscription. It just keeps piling up, right?
I see.
I remember calling a student that had a gym membership, forgot to cancel, and it was stacking for years, and I was calling to collect, right? And people will literally deny who they are. Right, I'm like, this is you're not speaking to John, but well, literally I just said hello and you confirmed who you are. Remind you had the debt. They're like, go back to your country. I'm like, you better simmer down, sir. This will affect your credit, right? And I know you can hear me, you understand that you do hold money, so you need to behave. And then they will just hang up on you. So that was very, very interesting times, and that kind of warmed me up into the mistakes I will not make.
That you will not make.
That I will not make.
100%.
Like my credit cards, I just make sure I got.
That was good.
Anytime they call me to increase my limit, I'm like,
no,
nope.
Thank you.
Keep it where it is. I'm very fine. If I need something, I'll call you.
Let you know.
And
speaking of collections, the experience for me in that regard was that somebody had used my line before, or they put my line down in some of these places that they borrowed money from.
Right.
So you just get a call from collections and they'll mention it's a female name, Caucasian female name, and I would say, no, that's not me. And I would say, can you get this number off? And they said, don't worry, we'll look for the person, we'll work on it. And many other collection
agencies will
call me like that, and I'm like, okay, this person must be owing a lot of money for them to keep calling.
That's probably me on the other side calling. Exactly. Because it's funny because we were given a lot of tools to be able to look for people. I can find anybody. I know how to do it now. We will go as far as finding your job, your cousin. They have all your information. They have it somehow. People you're related to share the same surname. We'll go on Google and we will find you. And we go as far as using Google Maps to locate where the cars are. Like if you're not paying your car payments, we would just track where that car was last seen and all of that on Google Map, and it was really interesting.
Sherlock
Holmes. we were doing that, bro. And then I got another job, interestingly, in a factory again, bro.
You've seen, man. You've seen, and a lot of let's be honest. A lot of international students, a lot of new immigrants, back then, many years ago, when they came, they went through this path.
That's right.
Today, it's not necessarily like that. For many international students, they're able to work in, easygoing jobs. They either maybe easily stack shelves at Walmart, or they're able to work front attendants at, Tim Hortons and the likes, right? So it's sort of easy flow, right? I can tell you for a fact that for me, I think one of the hardest factory experiences was stacking sausages.
Oh, there you
I was part of the line folks, and then the sausages would come out from the conveyor belt, and you have to be fast in making sure each of the bags are 10, right? So 10 bags,
Each counts.
10 sausages per bags, right? And it was coming out quick, right? And I did that. It was 8-hour shift. So you do just like yourself, 4 hours
On your
first-
feet.
on your of course on your feet.
There you go.
4 hours first, and then you have a 30
break.
minutes break, and then you know
Go back to it.
Go back to it. The first 2 days I did that, I had a nightmare, and that nightmare was strange. I had sausages chasing me,
there you
running after me. No, I'm being honest right now. You know, I woke up
I'm
sweating.
sorry, I had to laugh at the traumatic experience. Sorry, please go.
I woke up sweating.
Yeah.
But I saw sausages were running after me, you know, because I'd done 2 days of this, and it was like my brain was already wired with sausages.
yeah,
It was like
yeah.
I was doing something wrong to those sausages, but I was just doing my job. Right? It's funny now, but you know, back then it was a very crazy experience. I remember very well. I called my mom. Right, I was like, I'm not sure I've made the right decision coming to this country, right? Because this wasn't what I expected coming here,
yeah.
right?
Because you were soft from back home.
Bro,
Like you were soft, right?
I know I wasn't there yet, but at least I was just behind my
Yeah.
laptop doing my HR job, you know, and all that. So yeah, so
Did you get cold feet at any points where you're thinking? Because I personally, I cried. I called my mom and I cried to her that, no, I can't do this.
Can't do this.
And then, you know, after that, and she just spoke some words of faith into me, and I'm like, okay, let's go again, right?
Yeah,
Because
same.
I can't afford to lose. Right? A lot
Exactly.
of people, you know,
exactly
depending
looking
on me.
up,
So
looking up to you, and all
yeah,
that,
looking up to me. So, but I did cry. And you know, it's something that I like to share with people, so that you don't think it's something like Canada is a utopian country where everything
isn't.
It isn't.
It isn't.
It will drill you, but you will definitely come out stronger. It will
test you to test you strongly.
It will test you.
It will
To test your faith, test
Yeah.
your tenacity.
Yeah.
But being Nigerians, we know how to manage it. But you know, that emotional part, I wasn't prepared for it at all.
True. It will test you know, your job search abilities.
That's right.
It will test your communication skills. You know, you begin to doubt yourself. Like, but I was doing very well back
That's
home.
right.
Like I could easily get a job, you know, to test all that. Your networking skills, it will test all that as well. Right. But eventually it's time, right? The immigrant experience, it rewards you with time. Right. So and it looks like it's waiting for you to pay your dues, right? And then you get sort of paid, right? Quote and unquote.
Yeah, Tunde, great experiences overall. There's a common saying that people do say that Canada is boring, depressing. And is this something that you agree with? What are your own experiences with that?
Boring. I'll say that's relative. Like boring is relative, right? And you will find that many people who make that comparison, they will typically compare Canada to America or the UK, right? And because with America, of course, America is fun,
Yep.
right? I've been to both countries before, and I would still choose Canada. And the reason being that
Okay, sell it to me.
yeah, so Canada is laid back, right? It's a little bit laid back, and there are a lot of definitely social factors and whatnot. But I was still, maybe also because this was the first place I lived before I visited those other
countries,
places, right? So I would choose Canada. But when it comes to a lot of things, for instance, fashion, Canada has no fashion, right? Like
That's a very strong statement.
we
Okay.
let me put it this way: we don't have a fashion sense. Typical Canadian just wants to look okay and go out, right? UK or America is not necessarily like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
You go to UK and I think,
they're quite fashionable than here.
there was a time we're in London and it was as though we're like just walking through a fashion show.
Right,
You know, like
right.
people were taking time to present themselves.
Actually dress up.
Exactly. The only place you typically see that here is in Toronto, right?
Right. Could it be as
and
a
a
result
part
of
of
the
Toronto,
weather?
not everywhere. That's actually
Because
a
we
good
spend
point.
6 months
That's actually a good point.
dressing warm.
That's a good point.
Gray, dark
That's a good
colors,
point. That's a
and you
good
just
point.
want to wear a long trench coat that
I
covers
agree.
everything, and in the summer
agree.
it becomes colorful.
I agree.
I
agree.
For me personally, I think it is boring because of where I came from, the kind of
Okay.
life that I lived, and I was expecting to, up the ante here when I come here.
So your comparison now is
To
Canada
Nigeria,
and back home, Nigeria,
right?
not the
other Western
Okay.
countries, because I was looking like, okay, when I come here, there'll be a lot of social activities and all of that, but I found it to be a little bit standoffish. Like everybody likes to be on their own. I barely even spoke to my landlord. Right,
your
great guy,
neighbor.
or my neighbor.
Yeah.
And the landlord, I would go through his door to get to the basement where I was staying, and we would just say good morning,
And that's it.
and that's it, right? And I'm not used to that. I'm used to conversation, that community feeling, and yeah, it was a little bit depressing. I was in the basement, and then I came in the fall, and then into the 6 months of winter. Nobody to talk to. You're in there. You're calling people from back home,
moody.
and you're very
It
moody
gets
and
dark
gloomy.
early.
It gets dark early.
Yeah.
And the whole winter experience as well, trying to catch the bus, and I used to run for 5 minutes if I don't time myself properly.
Yeah. Time management.
Time management, yeah, I'm struggling with that still. And I'll run all the way to the bus, and the bus driver will see me running, and they will look at me cross the road, and then he will drive off. Like cold stare, winter stare. He will look at me, eyeball. He will just drive past, and then you have to wait.
What he's telling you is next time, get here early.
So my morning routine, I listen to music and all of that, and then, and then they'll just drive past, and you wait for another 20 minutes in the freezing cold. And I had one terrible experience where I didn't time my bus well, and I didn't go with the right gear. And I missed the bus, and I stood there for 20 minutes, 10 minutes to walk back home, or wait for another 10, 15 minutes for the next bus. So I contemplated staying in the bus stop, the temperature dropped, I think around 13, minus 13. I did not know prior that your face could actually freeze. Yes, your face has fluids, veins. So if those veins freeze, your face will actually freeze. Your facial muscles will freeze, and that happened to me.
Femi,
right?
I almost lost my fingers.
Oh, there you go. And nobody told us that you should not run your fingers under hot water if you have expensive frostbite.
I almost lost my fingers. It was on a Sunday evening. I wanted to do groceries, and I went to Food Basics, right? On a Sunday, and like I said, buses during the week, 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes. Buses over the weekend is every 1 hour.
There you go.
Bro, I had no idea of all this. I didn't time it properly. The map I was using, and back then too, like the map wouldn't tell you this is the side of the road. This is the side of the road to stay on.
Because we've all been there.
There are two different bus stops. There's one on the other side. There's one on this side.
You have to know A or B or North or West.
Femi, I walked, and then I had bag that I was carrying in the cold.
Exposing your fingers.
I forgot my gloves at home. And that's another mistake.
You're prime candidates for frostbite.
I would walk. For every 10 steps, I would stop. I'll put my hand in the jacket. And then I'll do that again. That's again. Right. Until I got to where I was going. And then I waited for the bus. Bro, that was the last time I ever did that. I say in my life, I will never do groceries over the weekend anymore. I will always do it during the week. And that was how, bro, so funny.
I think we all have that experience as well. It's beautiful now that we can reminisce about it and just share it with newcomers so that they know how to set their expectations. Definitely. But we didn't have that information compared to now where there's information about everything. Everybody's an expert.
Wait. People are landing today. Tomorrow they have a YouTube channel.
That's it. Yeah, come to Canada. This is where you need to come. Back then, I think we only had Nairaland. I only had Nairaland to prep me. Shout out to Nairaland. Exactly. Yeah.
I know. I didn't use it, but I knew I used to. If you go to Nairaland, you see a lot of information. But you hardly see anybody talking about migration on YouTube or Facebook, and these things were also starting to get popular, popular back then, right? But today,
every Tom, Dick, and Harry,
there is Instagram Reels, there's TikTok. When you're scrolling like this, come to Canada, Canada,
and it's good.
Canada.
It's good because then you have to pay the price that we.
I agree.
And if you look at it, if you look at the differences from when we came and now, how has Canada changed? Can you point to significant changes?
Yes, a lot of changes. One, talk about housing. Right. When we came, it was easy to get a place. You could come this week, the next day, 2 days, you've gotten a place, right? It was easy. Prices were not as high as now. But today, the housing market is a shambles, so to speak.
I agree.
And so you will see the students would easily get a place to rent with their colleagues. Today you will have to pay higher now, right? I remember back then for me, I paid the first room I got was like $380 per month, and then the next room I got was $450 per month, right? And that was the one I shared on social media.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah,
that
that was
like
$450
$450 per month. That was like the first place I really sort of settled and started to go to school and all that. So 450 per month. But today I
don't think
doubt
you're gonna
exactly.
get
Typical room even in the GTA area would be like maybe 900 if you are sharing,
Sharing.
in a shared sort of apartment.
I think
right?
I found my own apartment online. There was this website.
Kijiji?
No, Sentinel had a website
Okay.
where landlords can come and post. I think it's called
nice.
Places for Students.
Oh,
I think that's what it
nice.
used to call. So I
Okay.
went there, I found a very great guy, very welcoming. And he warmed up to me, gave me the space, gave me a couple of bed sheets because it was furnished with a bed and all of that.
Nice.
And then I used to commute, I think about an hour, 30 minutes to get to Story Arts.
Wow.
2
1
buses
hour,
and
30 minutes.
Yeah, 1 hour, 30
I
minutes.
wouldn't do that, bro.
That was the only
wouldn't
place
do
I
that.
could rent on a short notice.
Okay.
While I was trying to settle in and then go through that in the middle of winter, walk 10 minutes, get on the 80.
Horrible
Big shout out to the
experience.
86 bus. 86 bus to Kennedy, then take the Kennedy to Pabe, and then Pabe, come up Pabe, and take another one to the front of the school. And lovely experiences, that is built into who I am now.
Yeah.
I don't take this for granted.
Yeah, build that resilience.
That resilience. And I always tell
Right.
people, Canada will
Right.
knock you to your knees, but make sure you get up.
Right.
And put in your best because it will reward you. You're in a system that actually works.
It works.
Right. You put in the effort, you study, you do the right connection. A lot of it is things that you have to do on your own. Nobody's going to wake you up and give you reminders. Your reality will wake you up. Those sausages woke you up.
They did.
Those sausages woke my guy up.
I think what you're also speaking on is actually, getting out of the comfort zone
That's
while
right.
you are here as
That's
a
right.
new immigrant, as an old immigrant, whatever that is, right? And I have a very good experience, and I think I might have shared that with you, where I had a project, a HR project. We're supposed to interview somebody who was in the HR space, somebody who was at least 5 years experience, But for me, I tried. The first week I went on LinkedIn, I looked for people who were human resources professional in Kitchener. I couldn't find it, but I actually sent them DMs, right? But nobody responded. I even did cold callings. I looked for some recruiting firms. In Kitchener, I called them, but they would say they are too busy or they wouldn't answer or whatnot, or they say, you know what, no, they don't know me or things like that. And the project timeline was already, coming close. So I needed to do something. And from what you said, that was like the defining moment for me where I said, you know what, I will not do it the same way of just trying to reach out somebody from my comfort zone. I decided to go out. So I had just one suit to my name and I had one very nice white shirt with blue stripes. I ironed it. I said, you know what?
Let's go.
The next morning I'm going to Kitchener downtown and I'm going to knock on the doors of offices and tell them I need to interview a HR person there. The first place I went to, I met this elderly lady, Caucasian. She had accent. I think she's Russian or something. And I said, good morning. I said, good morning. I want to interview a HR person in your firm. And she said, okay, do you have an appointment? First orientation.
First.
In Canada, you can't just walk into this place. You need
an appointment. You have to expect you.
And I said, I don't have an appointment. And she said, okay, here's my card. You can go, call me, and they will set up an appointment. I was like, this can't work. So I left. I went to the next place. Thankfully, the guy saw me. He helped my morale because he said, nice suit. So that sort of boosted my morale. I said, thank God. I was like, this one are my guy. So he was like, what do I want? I told him, and he said, you have to go to downtown Toronto. That's where our head office is. That's where you find the HR person. I'm like, that's all the way. 3 hours from Kitchener by bus, about 2 hours by train and bus and all that. I was like, okay, no problem. I thanked him. I went out. So when I stepped out of that place, the first place I saw was a big brown building. For anybody living in Kitchener, they probably know this place. I think it's called Kennedy Building or so. So I saw that place. I said, you know what? Rather than going to all these small places, let me just go to that big one. I'm sure I'm going to find something there. And on getting there, I met the security guy and I told him, I'm looking for like the admin place here and the HR in this area. He said, you know what? Go to so floor. Tell them what you want there. And on getting there, when the elevator opened, I saw this lady. She was holding a cup. Maybe it was coffee. Maybe it was tea. She had her thing in her hand, and we exchanged pleasantries. And I was like, okay, I'm here to interview somebody. Is there anybody I can speak with? HR. She said, do you have an appointment? I was like, I don't have an appointment, but this is like urgent school work. She said, okay, sit down. Let me get you somebody who I think might be able to help. And, she came with this elderly lady, and she called me into her office, and then I introduced myself. I brought out my project work, and then we started to talk, and I interviewed her right there and then. I was able to take my notes, and she gave me all that I needed. But that wasn't when it hit me. It was when she gave me her card. That was when it hit me what had happened.
Yeah.
I left my comfort zone, and I had not interviewed just any HR professional. I was interviewing the head of HR of the region of Waterloo. Like, she was the head
Oh yeah.
of the region
Oh yeah,
of
that's
Waterloo.
massive.
You understand? And I can recall very well when my teacher saw it, when my other students, they were like, how did
that
you
happen?
you just got into this country, like, how did you interview someone
right.
like that? I was like, never mind, like, I get my connect, so don't worry about that. And it just shows to say, as new immigrants, as immigrants generally, you really cannot wait for some opportunities.
That's right.
You have to go knocking on doors
knocking on
to
doors.
get those opportunities.
Awesome,
Right.
awesome. That makes a lot of sense. Now that you've even said that, I have an interesting story. As part of my project in school as well, we had to go do an internship.
Okay.
I don't like internships that don't pay.
Nobody
I am not
does.
an advocate for
Nobody
it.
does.
And I found
like
one.
volunteer
I
work.
found one. Someone on Battle Street said it was a startup, and I went
Okay.
in, and this guy just found him on Kijiji, said he was looking for interns. I went in. I'm like, okay, I want to help. And I said, okay, he's a startup into travel and all of that, and he said, okay, but he's not going to pay me. I'm like, no, I have a $400 room that I need to pay for every month. This
month.
free internship would do nothing for me. But he was like, yeah, it will help your
Resume,
my resume,
yeah,
blah blah blah.
experience
I'm
and
like,
stuff.
so. But I decided to, because the internship was supposed to be for 4 weeks, where he shadowed people, and I was doing that. And this guy was just all over my work. Did not appreciate the effort that I was taking to go from Scarborough downtown, and didn't give me nothing. And one day I just woke up to like the last day of the whole thing, and I'm like, he wants to extend my stay. I'm like, are you gonna pay me? So,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I said it to his face that you have the audacity of you to think that I'm gonna step my feet here again, and it's a lot of, it ties into that Canadian experience thing that was, I think it's no longer a thing anymore.
Yeah, so Ontario passed a law, I think it was sometimes last year or 2 years ago, where employers are not required to look for Canadian experience. We're not sure how that is, being utilized, but yeah.
I think in the job market now, for Canadians that are coming in from different hemispheres, I think I can say I don't necessarily see a lot of that, and compared to our time, right? Where it will be written on the job description, must have Canadian. I don't see that on job application. So that's one of the things that has changed in the last decade as well. It's more welcoming for professionals to come in and get into certain spaces. But that was that intern experience. Was anybody that comes see people, I say, pay your interns. Pay your interns. Don't play around. But is it all worth it? Like, we've been here for, I think,
was it worth it then? Like, at that moment when you start?
Absolutely
like,
not.
Of course not.
Nah.
Like, you
I mean, the coffee is good. We all jumped on, what was the favorite? The staple.
which one? French vanilla?
French vanilla.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
There's this thing with new immigrants. You come and you don't know how to read the menu board.
That's
Like,
it.
what are they
Exactly.
having?
Right.
Somebody got coffee, no sugar, no milk. The person didn't know they had to tell them
to add
put 2 milk, put 2 sugar, one, and then they just had to
I would just go in. I think the first time I went into, one of the major coffee brands, I just walked in and it was just a lot of information. Like, and people were ordering different things. And I'm like, what am I supposed to? I just need, I need a drink here. And I said, someone say French vanilla. I'm like, that's the one. That is the one. Give me that one. I said it exactly the way the person said it. Medium French vanilla. And they gave it to me, and that became a staple.
It was sweet.
Yeah, it was sweet. I'm like, yes, that's the one.
That.
And then, I got into the coffee culture. I'm a coffee drinker now. And back home, I used to drink coffee. But it didn't work for me. I was snooze. But here,
the coffee will keep you awake.
I need coffee to start my day. Otherwise, no, don't talk
Make
to me until I have my cup of coffee, to slap my brain into working. So my lifestyle has changed. I think I'm more Canadian now.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
I'm more Canadian, right? So, but is it all worth it? I would say yes. Settled in, built a budding career. My wife is here. My kids are born here. And I'm able to check it off my list that this is what I came here to do. My kids are Canadians. And, now I can begin to focus on building a legacy for them. So
Nice.
I would say it's all what it's. But has it changed? Yes. I think it's a mix and match. I think was it easier back then?
What was easier?
Life as a whole. Was it easier back then?
It wasn't, for new immigrants, it wasn't also easy, right? Because you also had to fight to get something, right? It wasn't like on a platter of gold where you just come and everything was there, right? But was it all worth it eventually? Yes, right? I think it was the whole journey. Like there was always a new milestone you wanted to attain, and you will actually get it.
Yep,
you will get it,
100%.
Right? So that joy of leaving this stage, I'm no more in a one room as an international student.
That was a very big deal.
Job. Now
I have a car. Everybody, basement. You gotta have a basement. You gotta have a basement.
My first job. Now I have my full-time job. Now
I need to go get a car.
Job. Thank you. Like that milestone. So it was worth it. Like the whole journey, like going from one step
to another,
getting to another step, getting married, like you said, having kids, like there, and it's the whole journey of it is just what is worth it.
I love the way you just broke that
exactly
down.
Even that getting that Canadian passport, everything just.
Funny part, when I got the Canadian passport, I wasn't as excited as I thought I would be. I wasn't necessarily excited because I was already here. I'm already here. I'm gonna be a citizen anyway. I could already travel. Had my PR. I could already travel. I've been to the States and a couple of other places. But when it dawned on me was when I was going to the States. I took my family on vacation, and then we were going to the passport check and all of that. And it dawned on me like, yes. When you come into the country, they separate you. They segregate you. Like you,
Canadians go here.
Canadians, United States, others. They split you, and then we're going and coming back into the country. There was just that preferential treatment. You go to a different queue. I'm like, now we're talking.
Guess what? I went to New York.
Yeah.
Right? And right here, there was immigration. They checked me and all that. And then I passed through. And when I got to New York, somebody came to pick me up because one of the schools I worked with, they came to pick me up. But I noticed something. I had picked my bag. Normally, you get to immigration and you pick your bag. But I noticed I picked my bag first. But then I was waiting to get to immigration. And then there was no immigration. And then I asked the guy who came to pick me, I was like, nobody checked me here. And he said, you are coming from Canada, from Toronto, and you're Canadian. So, like, you've already bypassed. I was like,
there's levels to this shit now. I
was like, this is the airport that back home, if you hear that somebody's going to JF Kennedy, like, you understand?
Yeah, that level of anxiety.
Like fortress, right? The level of anxiety. And I'm like, that's where I was like, wow. And
mission achieved.
Yeah, exactly.
Mission achieved. Big shout out to that.
Exactly. So was it all worth it? Yes.
100%. I love this country. It's now home.
Yeah, it is.
They say wherever you rest your head is home.
Yeah.
I love my country. I love my country. I wish it could be better, but
you love your country. Which country are you talking about now?
Both sides. I love the Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I love Canada. It's home for me. Hopefully things get better for both sides. But yeah.
Yeah. So Femi, we're all here now. Now that
we are here, of course.
And imagine you meet your younger self, right? That guy from Bariga, from Lagos, who wants to come here. What advice would you actually tell yourself?
One advice I'll give my younger self is to focus on me. I was there were a lot of things that were tied to myself that were slowing me down, that I needed to have let go and just focus on actually landing properly, building a life.
Okay.
Than, compared to what I was doing then, I was just trying to fix people from back home. Like I said, I was still sending money home, paying it back, trying to support people, not realizing that at some point there had to be me. I need to just go into that ghost mode where I just build the foundation, trust myself. So that's one thing I'll tell anybody coming in here, focus on you. I know we all want to help back home, but build you first, because that can actually slow you down. I know, the Black community, we want to help and all of that.
Yep.
Do you first, because even right now, I have friends that, reach out to me and I'm like, it's you, sir. Focus on you. Like, you can barely pay your rent, you still want to send money home. Like, do you. Like, when it's soft for you, you cannot look back. But when you're tied to all these heavy things, heavy burdens, black tax that's slowing you down, it will affect your progress here. So that's one thing I would advise my own circumstances. And then the next thing is be very, 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 very diligent in everything you do. Right? If anything that you're doing, don't do 90%, do 110. That 10% more is the tenacity you need to succeed. 100% is the benchmark. Like everybody will go through it, but when you put 110, you are set. From your education to the work that you will, anything you're doing, put 110%, and you'll come out winning. So that to the younger self, to the younger Femi, be kinder to yourself, be soft. The journey might be a little bit rough, but be soft to yourself. Don't beat yourself up when you fail. Pick yourself up, by the bootstraps, and just run the race.
Nice. That's really good.
I'll toss it back to you. Do I think I just give a speech talk. There? Yeah, TED talk there. But back to you.
I think for me, it's will be community. Right? I can be a loner, a one man person very well, right? And I try to figure out a lot of things myself when I came here as an international student. Right. I think one advice I would tell myself is to be more outgoing, to seek and ask for help, right? Like there were a lot of things I was going through in terms of like the factory job, the depression, all those kind of stuff. Yeah, so I wish I had that, community where was there so much community back then? Maybe not, right? Today we have a lot of WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, immigrant Facebook groups and all that, from WhatsApp to Telegram and whatnot. But we had communities in clusters in different cities, right? And also people in churches and whatnot. I did used to go to church, but I was not just part of any community, right? And I think if there was any advice I would give my younger self, it would be part of a community, leverage that energy from that community, ask for help, talk about whatever you're going through. Because the truth is, a lot of new immigrants, they get depressed, they go through a lot, during winter, during the job search process, all that. Right, and if you don't share with, and like we all know, a problem shared is already half solved, right? So I think that's one of the things I will tell myself, and just to get ready for whatever it is you are going to go through, right? And that at the end of the day, it's all worth it, right? So that's it.
The Great White North. I think that's what Canada is called, right? The Great White North. I didn't know that to guys. It's like, yeah. Someone said it to me like, how's life going in the Great White North? I'm like, what? I had to quickly Google it, like, what, before I start fumbling with my responses. But overall, great conversation today. Let's tell them how we met.
Oh,
that's how we met.
Yeah.
And it's this community that we're talking about, social media.
Let's quickly chime down.
I'll let you go. You do it.
So I like most people know. I think I've transitioned from a lot of things in life, and there was a time when I used to paint a lot. I actually had my painting up at Young and Dundas. I had a couple of what's it called? Artwork that I did, and I did some exhibition. That's what I'm looking for. I did a couple of art exhibitions that I painted, and I know I used to share a lot of them on social media. And then you had reached out to me. You were actually the first person to patronize me in Toronto. And I did a couple of nice black and white themed painting, Yoruba,
I still have it,
and all those stuff. And then saw it, and then this guy said, "I love your painting. I'd like to buy." And that was how we met, right? And then we kicked it off from there. Thanks, man.
Good energy. That's my guy. All right, guys, we've come to the end of the first episode. We've been able to deep dive to our experiences, sharing heartfelt, stories that can help people, inspire people, and also, put people on the level, give them a step ahead using our experiences as well. So, follow us on social media, stream our episodes on YouTube, on Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow us on social media at NTWAH podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and on X.
Yes.
I seems to be stuck.
Twitter.
I seem to be stuck on Twitter. Okay, Twitter. Right. X, and also check out our website, now that we're here, podcast.com. I go by the name FemiShine. You can also call me the Bariga Boy in the 6. And Tunde plugin.
I'm Tunde Omoto, aka TundeTASH, as I'm known online. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Looking forward to other great conversations and looking forward to the next episode. Thank you for staying with us till the end.
Cheers.